This is a podcast or something like that. Hello and welcome to the Verbally Journally podcast. This is a episode of it. It's episode 31, actually, to be very specific. There was some uncertainty last episode. Are we in 29? Are we in 30? We were in 30. I can retroactively confirm. And I think it was a good 30th episode. We covered a lot of stuff, a lot of ground, a lot of water, a lot of what's the other thing? Air. Okay. A lot of coffee. So we're back on the pod. Hope you're having a good day or night or afternoon. For me, it's the morning, which is not even one of those options. I guess it's sort of in the day category. But it's so different, you know what I mean? It's the morning over here, and I am living in the morning. Welcome to it. And this is going to be good in the sense that it's the morning, so a new day starts. So that's going to be good. The weekend's been very chill. I've been hanging out with friends a fair bit. Saw friends last night. Similar, different friend group the night before. Hanging with some friends later tonight. Friday we just hung out, chatted, had a few drinks. Last night played some board games with people. Played this sort of board game similar to like Mafia. If you know that game where like there's like one person who's like the sheriff, and then there's one person who's like the renegade, and then there's like outlaws who need to kill the sheriff, and then a vice who protects the sheriff. So let's just say I won the game. My team won because I succeeded and my behavior was correct, I guess is probably the best way to put it. Well, let's invite the desk to feature on the podcast very briefly. Yeah, that was a big, we got a lot of complaints. Last week, the desk featured on the podcast very heavily in the beginning, and a lot of people were very upset about that. There were a lot of unacceptable things that the desk said, and I will not be letting them feature so heavily. But just now, I did need to open up the desk. I like to have, yep, that was another desk comment. I like to have a Post-it with a pen on hand so I could say, oops, oops, I said a mouth noise, or I made a mouth noise, or oops, I did this, or write down the time code, go back in, edit it, fix it up. So here we are back at the Verbal Journal. I've had a good week. Last week I announced I'm moving to a new office for my work, which is really great. Now I'm 1 week closer to doing that. I do it on Friday of this coming week, so I've 4 more days at my current office. 1, I'll be working from home because I just have teleconference. And I'm just so ready to go. I'm just so ready to move into the new space. I really am counting the days. Very excited to make the change. I have to buy like a desk and get a new chair for myself. And but I have a few days to do that. I plan those days off. I also this week on Monday told all the insurance companies about my new address so they can change that in their system. It takes them sometimes a few days, sometimes a few weeks. It really wasn't a big deal at all. It's a good example of one of those things that you kind of build up. Oh, it's going to be such a big deal to tell all these insurance companies. I don't think it even took 2 hours to, fill out a few forms, send a few emails and so on to like 5, set it. I think it was like 5 insurance companies I had to change my address with. So that's cool. And other than that, yeah, I've been talking about painting. I've been doing a ton of painting, a lot more even this last week. I've had some really good nights of painting where I've like put in details that I'm really happy with or different things because, I'm layering on top of the same paintings. Nowadays, I paintings, I put a lot more time into them than I used to. So it's very fun to be at the different stages of it. And I was talking about artist biographies a bit. I did continue reading Max Ernst's biography yesterday. I thought, you know what? After the whole week off, I can finally keep reading it. I'm just, it's just whatever. I just don't look up to him in the same way after the stuff I talked about last week. Just some sort of concerning decision making in his relationships. I don't know. I just think it's just that's how it goes. Like you know, when you look up to someone a lot, often you do reach the point where you're like, maybe I should look up to them less. That's, I think, a healthy thing. Anyways, so I continued reading. I was like, you know what? I just want to learn more about the art stuff. Okay, you know, whatever. It's not, I don't, you know, don't have to respect him 100% as a person. He's still one of my favorite painters. And his his pictures are unbelievable. I mean, so I just kept reading. It's fine. I really do want to keep reading artist biographies. I'm going to find ones on artists I don't even like. I do find it so fascinating, and I really love that I'm finally getting like a lot more knowledge about this. But it was cool because I hung out with a friend last night, or after we were hanging with some other friends. We were just chilling at my place, and I showed him some of my paintings. And when he saw one of them, it reminded him. He goes, "Oh, do you know who Dorothea Tanning is?" And I go, "Oh yeah, wasn't she married to Max Ernst? Because she was one of his wives." I don't remember. He was remarried multiple times. Hold on, can't remember if it was before or after the relationship I found very problematic and was talking about last week on the pod. Oh my God, Max Ernst wives. MaxErnstWives.com. Nope, that's not it. Max Ernst list of wives. Oh yeah, okay. So this was his. This was his last and longest relationship with Dorothea Tanning. 30 years. Wow. Yeah, no, that's well after the Marie Berth Audench relationship. Oh no, it's only 4 years after. But he did get married in between to Peggy Guggenheim. I mean, I think that was a bit of an immigration thing. Also, how do you not marry Peggy Guggenheim if you're an artist moving to the United States? I don't. During World War II, wow. So yeah, still crazy artist, but yeah, very very wild that I showed my friend my paintings and he thought of the wife of the guy whose biography I'm reading. Also, she makes really cool art. I just hadn't seen it before, but yeah, she made really really cool art. So today, I don't have much to talk about at all. So one interesting thing with like the process of moving and stuff is like one of the things I don't like about my current office is there's this other guy who rents an office there who's a psychiatrist and just like has no social awareness. And he does like all these different things that are just really bizarre for a shared space. Like, you know, we each have our offices and then there's a hallway and a waiting room. And he turns off the lights to the hallway and waiting room whenever he feels like it. He'll do it multiple times a day. And like, he has clients coming in. Like, he just doesn't mind that if they sit in the dark and see a dark office hallway. I don't fully get that, but I definitely do mind. I don't want my clients sitting in okay, it's not pitch black, but it kind of makes you look unprofessional to not have the lights on in your fucking office. So I've asked the psychiatrist many times, okay? And then this past week, it must have been the fourth or fifth time he turned the lights off again. I've been so explicit with him, like recently, please do not turn the light. So I was like, did you turn the, like at this point, it's like, we really don't have rapport. We're not friendly. There was also, I had to force him to get a white noise machine, which is absolutely standard for anyone who does therapy. He does therapy. He meets with clients. And so he didn't have a white noise machine, so his sessions were completely audible sometimes if the client is talking loudly. And it's not a good office suite, but it's just barely fine if people behave ethically. So I made him get a white noise machine, and I think he's just held a grudge ever since, like a child. So then me trying to get him to keep the lights on, Not even to turn them on, to keep them on. Keep in mind, I'm asking him to do nothing, which is a normal thing in a shared space. So he just, it's very confrontational at this point. So I'm just like, why did you turn the lights off again? And he's like, I'm do it to save energy. Keep in mind, he does not pay for these lights. Like, it's a very small amount of energy. And I'm like, but I've asked you like so many times to keep the lights on. And he's like, well, I didn't think you were here. Because I guess I had my noise machine in my office at one point because I was probably doing a teleconference and I wanted the white noise to block out whatever else. So, but I'm like, for the lights are on in my office. Like, he could have told if he tried. And also, like, that's not a good excuse. Like, I'm not the only one there. So it's like, why would you just don't turn the lights off when they're on when you show up to a public area? So I'm like, but I've told you so many times, like, please, there's other people here who want the lights on. And he just like mumbles. He starts ignoring me. So it really came to a head. And I'm really happy that I only have 1 week left. I had the chance to tell on him to the property manager, which I've already told the property manager about this guy because there's other stuff. He was like cutting his hair in the bathroom. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And the noise thing was a real issue and the lights. So I did tell the property manager at one point. I didn't consider that telling on him because I'm just like, I wanted them to know. But this time I had the chance to tell the property manager again because I was already in a conversation with the property manager and it would have been very natural to be like, by the way, I had this conversation. He really was acting very immature, it's really bizarre. By the way, after my confrontation with him, I was just talking about, 1 hour later, he turned the lights off again in the hallway and the waiting area. So like, just so you understand, like, it's not like he just disagrees. He refuses to do it this way. So I wanted to mention this because it's interesting, but also like, cause it's a revenge thing. So I had the chance to tell on him and, I talk about revenge in my videos a lot. And my whole thesis with the subject in the Better Call Saul series was like, you can do revenge. Sometimes you could say it's technically justified and it could still be a bad decision for you or, for the world. And here I thought, okay, I tell property manager about this guy refusing to agree to be because he's being a bad tenant. And if I was a property manager, to be clear, I would tell the property manager, there's a few different justifications, but like one of the stronger ones is like, I would want to know. I would 100% want to know what my tenants are up to. And, you could say the property manager could, be more hands-on, but I don't know. That has its pluses and minuses. But yeah, I would want to know, but still, whatever. Okay, so it's like, that's a moral sort of justification, but there's also the thing of, well, I'm just doing it so he's punished, right? And what would the punishment of him be? First of all, what if he actually got like seriously punished? What if he actually wasn't able to rent the space anymore? Now his patients, who he does actually meet with many real people and prescribe them medications and talk to them about their problems, now they're actually a little bit inconvenienced. He has to find a new space. So that's actually not good. That's not good. Maybe if he was doing something a lot worse than the lights, maybe it would be justified, but it's not good. Secondly, I'm leaving in a week. So it's really not my problem. And if anything, he's going to know, this week and then I don't think he would confront me about anything because he just lives in his own planet, but I couldn't think of any benefit to myself. I think that's often the case with revenge. It's like, it's not easy to actually identify how I benefit or how anyone benefits. I could say the property manager would benefit, but trust me, the property manager doesn't want to know. They don't want to know about this. They don't fucking give a shit and they don't want to know. So, revenge is a dish best served with the lights off, I think is the expression. Okay, well, that was that section. Let's move on to the mailbag. We're going to do the mailbag a little bit earlier than usual. We've been saving the mailbag for the end, and I think it's about time we bring the mailbag a little bit further upwards in the program. So if you would like to write into the podcast, write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, wow, we got a question for the pod. Royce has written in. Thank you, Royce. Question for the blog. First time writing in. So thank you for writing in. So yeah, again, and this was on Sunday last week, so Royce must have listened to the pod soon after it was released. Okay, so yeah, thanks for writing in to verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com, gmail.gov. Royce says, trying this one out. Obviously, real therapists don't get to choose their clients unless they do. But if you could choose any characters from the Better Call Saul Breaking Bad universe or any other characters from film, TV, games, books as clients, who would you therapize? That's a great question. So, yeah, and it's definitely mostly true to say that therapists don't choose their clients. There's a lot of subtlety to that in the sense like you do, especially, I mean, assuming you work in private practice, you do have a ton of control over who you work with, but it's often like it's before you start working with them. You know, you can market yourself as someone who works with just a specific sort of condition like OCD or something, or a specific life experience, like people who are going through the loss of a loved one or something like that, or, they're a sex therapist. And so you're only going to be working with clients who have sex, you know what I mean? So only talking about issues related to sex. So, and you can be like, I think you can be like, I work with men predominantly or something like that. Or, I guess you could do that. I'm not sure of the exact legalities around that or ethics around that. And also, like, you can start working with someone, or I guess you can be working with someone and say, I'm starting to feel like this isn't a good fit, but you would do that just because it's not helping them. You're not helping them as much as you need to be. And it's a very collaborative process. It's not you choosing to not work with someone. It's you letting someone know you don't think you're the best fit for them, and then kind of letting them make the decision. Yeah, it's very, obviously I don't think this has ever happened with me yet, but it could theoretically happen that a client would like cross a serious line, and then you are allowed to not work with them, in certain extreme situations that are very rare. If they show up at your house and like try to like, have sex with your fucking like desk or something. People really like my desk. But if you don't quite choose your clients, but you do, you do have some control, but not that much control, which is good. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to be choosing your clients, really, because they need to choose you. Yeah. But if I could choose any client, I mean, I would, let's see. From just like a personal standpoint, like who I would want to talk to. I mean, okay, besides Price, who I would get such a kick out of talking to Price. And I was rewatching Mark Proksch videos, the yo-yo videos yesterday. Oh my God. Like where he goes on the talk shows and the like morning local talk shows and pretends he's a yo-yo guy who's visiting schools to talk about the environment. And he doesn't know how to yo-yo. That's how Vince Gilligan found out about him, I think, for Better Call Saul. But right? Or something. Someone found out about him that way. But no, honestly, I feel like the best answer would be Kim. I would really get a kick out of talking to Kim because like she seems like she would be really open to like going deep into stuff in her life. I mean, not like at first, but like she's just incredibly smart, like has really good emotional intelligence and like, but would have these defenses that she'd probably be willing to kind of break down, but they'd be really strong as well. You know, whatever went on with her mom and dad, I don't know if she had a dad. I feel like that. I don't think that it was ever mentioned. But whatever went on with her upbringing, there's a lot there. You know, her mom showing up drunk to pick her up from school, or tipsy. So I would get a kick out of Kim for sure. I mean, Lalo would be pretty crazy. I mean, if he would like open up about stuff. Gus, it's really hard to imagine. I mean, he would need help with some of those compulsions you see in season 6 for sure. And maybe just some like loneliness. He's a workaholic also. I think I could help him with that. Yeah, so that would be quite fun. Who else? I mean, obviously Jimmy McGill would be great. I don't feel like he wouldn't show up. He'd be like a client that would be like, he'd be like, oh, I really got to do therapy. Like, let's set up an appointment in like 1 month. And then he like always cancels it or pushes it, which is not I shouldn't say that. Like, that's a common thing people do. But anyways, thanks for writing in, Royce. I will let you know how my work with these characters goes. I'm hoping to therapize them. I love the word therapize. That's one that people use sometimes. It's always fun. Okay, next segment on the pod is the comments of the week. I don't have any to share this week, but there were some good comments, some fun comments. Oh yeah, what was this person referencing? Someone said, I can't say whether it was intentional the first time to talk about masculinity and admit they are right and wrong at 2:18:50, but the funny way you corrected yourself multiple times gave it a great sense of aura of humility, in my opinion. That's a really nice comment. What are they referring to? Let's look at the time.
Own up to what he did. His ability to take accountability, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
His accountability ability.
Nice.
His accountability ability.
That was a joke that wasn't in the script too, and that was, or maybe it was in the script once, but not. I think it might have not been in the script at all, and then just while I was recording it. It's really important to have fun while I'm recording it and to find things to make new jokes, be creative. Otherwise, it's literally I'm sitting in a warm DIY studio for 6 hours. Like I need to make it fun. I got a really nice comment today speaking of revenge, on the last Better Call Saul video about revenge. This person said, the people mad at you for having a nuanced view on revenge killing don't deserve an explanation. They are too dumb or full of shit to grasp higher concepts clearly. They also are the type of people to say that what they would do, but probably would never take that level of action when the time came. It's easy to say you'd kill someone if they harmed your family, but when you're actually there, are you certain you'd pull the trigger and accept everything that comes with that, least of which is stepping down to their level? Forgive me, but I'm pressing X for doubt on that. Yeah, I thought that was a good comment. Yeah, I mean, I get a kick out of trying to respond to, those arguments, like the revenge sort of arguments, and trying to get my position out as straight as I can get it. But yeah, I do agree that like some people say they would do something, but maybe it's hard to say whether they actually would. I mean, you could believe a fair bit of people would, but I don't know. I just think it's fascinating. Like I do stand by, like, if someone kills your family member, I don't understand how I have the right to say, like, you can't kill them. Like, if you genuinely know for sure someone killed your family member, but it's like, still, I don't think it's a good idea. But it is interesting to me, as being someone who's definitely a pacifist and definitely against violence, except in self-defense. Like, revenge is not self-defense. So I don't think it's good, but it's hard to say it's not justified when you know for sure. But like, just keep in mind, like, if Mike had never gone after revenge, if Mike had never been motivated by revenge, he would have never gotten in the whole everything. He would have never gotten wrapped up in everything. He would have just been a sad ex-cop trying to stay sober and grieving his dead son, and maybe still, trying to support his daughter-in-law and his family and his granddaughter. And maybe it would have been harder to do, but like, yeah, he wouldn't have. I mean, bad things still would have happened to him. They happened to people, but he wouldn't have gotten involved in any of the plot. I mean, arguably, like, neither would Jimmy. Like, at what point would Jimmy? So Jimmy would have not gone through the whole process of trying to punish his brother for retaining a client that Kim wanted. And that would have stopped a lot. But Jimmy still would have gone down a bad choice road because it was largely, for him, I feel like, greed more than revenge. And then for Mike, it feels like it does become greed when he just really starts working for Gus in that sense. I feel like it does become greed more than revenge for sure, but yeah, and then he like tries to pretend like it's still like revenge in Breaking Bad, right? Or what does he say? It's like, well, I mean, definitely in Better Call Saul. Oh, we're doing revenge. He's telling Manuel. I feel like in Breaking Bad as well. Can't really think of it. Okay, but anyways, yeah, revenge iffy. In my life, I was giving that example. I think there are times to not, try to even deal with it because it can just cause more trouble for you. So the chess update of the week is that I I fell down a little rabbit hole last night. I think I was just like, I had gotten home like late and I was like, just like maybe like eating or something. And I was reading the Wikipedia page for the history of the World Chess Champions because I'm so pissed off by this. I've mentioned it before, but like Magnus Carlsen, the former World Chess Champion, in his YouTube bio still calls himself the World Chess Champion. And I realized, because I've posted about it on Twitter a few times, and so I was following up like 4 months later, he still has it as his in his bio. And I realized he has it in his Twitter bio and his Twitter banner. This is actually fucking crazy. Okay, it's not actually crazy. This is really wild. Like, he calls himself World Chess Champion in his bio and in his banner on Twitter. He is not the World Chess Champion anymore. He has lost a title. Go to Gary Kasparov's page. He calls himself the 13th World Chess Champion. Magnus needs to say former or whatever number he is. He is not the World Chess Champion. It's just point blank, he is not it. And it's really sad and pathetic that he retains that title on his social media. Really, really sad and pathetic. Move on, dude. You chose to no longer be the World Chess Champion. Stop calling yourself that. I talked about this on stream and people were like, well, maybe he means, like you would potentially call yourself that even when you're former but I'm sorry, that's not what you do. That's not what you do. Like, I don't think that stands. I think he would not have wanted fucking Gary Kasparov to go around calling himself World Chess Champion while Magnus was champion. So very bizarre and wow, just very bizarre. So maybe he'll see my tweets. He'll go through his mentions and he'll say, "Wow, there's someone with whoa, I have 300 followers on Twitter. Since when do I have that many? Wow, I didn't realize I had that many." So yeah, wow, it's really wild, unbelievably wild that he just like refuses to. He just refuses to stop calling himself the World Chess Champion, even though he's not. Wow. So, okay, I'm just going through and deleting a few tweets. I do that all the time. I just delete so many tweets because everything is stupid on Twitter. Oh yeah, when Ding won, I did respond to the Lee Chess photo of him. He looks so happy. Oh yeah, he was the 17th. Yeah. Oh, his quote. Oh my God, his quote, like during the press conference after he won, where he goes, This match was the deepest reflection of my soul. Like, he's just this beautiful, poetic guy. I hope he keeps the title for decades. But yeah, so last night I went through this Wikipedia page and read through. It's a good Wikipedia page. It's really well written, where there's like enough detail, but it keeps moving. It's just from like 1840 to today, like every detail of like not every detail, but like every change in title, and like, you know, Steinitz, Botvinnik, you know, Kramnik, Anand, you know, Kasparov, Morphy, no, I don't know if Tall won. Fischer, I don't know. So, Peter Lecco, he wasn't world champion, but he almost was, yeah. So very, very cool I didn't know Yasser Seirawan, this guy who's big in commentary. He's like one of my least favorite commentators, but he works with the St. Louis Chess Club, like a lot of bad people do, or like people who don't have good judgment. For reasons I talked about on a few weeks ago on the podcast. But anyways, so yeah, I didn't know he was involved in like unifying when there was a split between the world champions. He was involved in unifying because that happened a few times in history where like maybe like the world champion, so the world champion like didn't want to play, and so, or like, you know, wouldn't play, and then these other people played, and then someone else was crowned the world champion who then had to play the actual. So there's been a lot of that, but like the history of how this shit worked is actually so fucked. Like, the way it worked is like some guy would be the world champion, okay? Once they had that, you know, so some guy would win against some other big guy, and he would be the world champion. And then he would just set the terms of how the world championship match would go. He would just set the terms. He would get to decide how much the challenger had to raise. So the challenger had to raise money to offer like a purse for the world championship match. So the challenger had to raise the money. And the world champion could go, no, the amounts that they were talking about correspond to like 150 grand today or something like that. Like, you know, sizable amounts of money, where it's like, they'd be like, you have to raise this money or I'm not playing you if you don't. They would get to decide all these different formats for the match. It's like, you know, I'm a fan of like the world champion having input for sure, but like, yeah, I don't know. And FIDE is such a bad organization internationally, but like the idea of not having any organization involved and just having the world champion be like, raise the money for me or else. And then there would be these times where like someone would challenge the world champion in like 1921, but they wouldn't be able to raise the money for like another 5 years or something to actually play a world championship match. So the world champion just stays world champion. It's like, okay, let's get a little formality to this process. Okay, next segment on the podcast is my fantasy baseball update. So it's kind of weird because like I'm not in the playoffs, but I think you still have matchups on ESPN fantasy or something. Because it looks like I'm in some playoff. It looks like the matchup I'm in is a longer one. So and it says playoffs. So I'm not in the playoffs, but I guess I still play. So yeah, it's like 2 weeks, I guess. Oh yeah, it's 2 full weeks. So I am winning. I'm up 16 points. Oh yeah, last week was super close. I was down 40 points on the last day, and I thought I had like no chance. I almost won. If Max Scherzer had a good day pitching, I would have won against like the top guy in my league, which would have, you know, been good. Even though I'm not in the playoffs, it would have been fun. So yeah, whatever. You know, fantasy baseball. I'm not killing it. And for the last segment of the pod, the screen time report. So this is where I look at my screen time report on my phone. That's why it's called the screen time report segment. And this week, I used my phone 11 minutes less each day than last week's average, which I was surprised because I used my phone a lot yesterday. My daily average this past week was 45 minutes on my phone. I've been using Instagram a little bit, following what my friends are up to. I've been using YouTube a little bit, watching some YouTube videos and messages. What have I been? Oh, yeah, YouTube. I did watch, like I said, the whole Mark Proksch compilation of all the yo-yo times he went on these morning talk shows. Anyways, so that's it for the pod today. I hope you had a great time. I hope you enjoyed the pod. Yeah, I don't know. I might, we might be moving into a new phase of the pod where I need to like plan more. I don't know. It's cool having nothing to talk about too, though. That's kind of the point of the Verb Journ pod. So yeah, have a great rest of your time and your life until you listen again. And you can, listen again immediately if you'd like. Or, listen to old episodes. Or not. You can also not do that, and that's fine too. Okay, goodbye and farewell and goodbye. This is a podcast or something like that.